Okay, so I'm making this video for my potential students just to go over the way that I studied for the GRE. This is also for those who have not, considered me as a tutor and they just looked up on YouTube or on anything how to study for the GRE, and had some people that have done that before. So basic background for me is that I'm a postdoc right now, but I got my undergraduate degree in mathematics. And I was thinking about taking the GRE, but I was nervous because my undergraduate degree was in quantitative analysis, which is one of the sections. You have the quant section and the verbal section, which is how I'm going to break things up in this video. And I'll just write that there. You've got the verbal on the left, and you've got the quant on the right. But yeah, so I was hoping to study and take the exam right after college, and I took about 3 months to study. I ended up getting pretty decent. I ended up doing a 166 on the verbal reasoning, which at the time was a 96th percentile, and I did a 163 on the quantitative reasoning, which was at the 86th percentile. So my average ended up being over the 90 percentile. I thought that was pretty good, and as I was going through my PhD and now into my postdoc, I have a platform on Wisent, or a what do you call that? I have a page on Wisent where I tutor people if they need help on the GRE itself, specifically the quantitative section, the verbal section. So I'm just going to go over how I did my studying and how I do my tutoring. All right, I'm going to split up into these two sections. So let's just go like this, and let's talk about each section. So the one that made me the most nervous was the verbal, which is ironic considering that was the one I did better on, but I guess that makes a little bit of sense. The more you spend your time on, the better you do in the section that you're focusing on. So what I did was I broke the verbal reasoning section up into its constituent parts, which is reading comprehension. So you've got reading comprehension. And then you've got the text completion and the sentence equivalence. So let's go through each of these in turn. The most terrifying one for me was reading comprehension. It made very little sense, and I really didn't understand what they were going for. So I made sure every single day to do at least one reading comprehension paragraph a day. So every single day I would do one reading comprehension paragraph. Sometimes more than that, but at least one. And I would go through it. I would try and figure out what they want. I would try and answer questions I would review. And I had a very particular method. What I would do is I would go through the paragraph itself, or the series of paragraphs, and I would try and create summaries on the outside of the paragraph, like one-sentence summaries that would either contain an entire paragraph or part of a paragraph or a thought or something of that nature. So if you imagine this is like a whole series of paragraphs, I would try and have like 3 sentences that kind of explain the whole thing. And then I would go through my questions, and I could use these sentences as ways to know where to go inside the paragraph itself, or as summaries that would be helpful for answering the question. And slowly over time, that's how I ended up developing my skills in that area. For text completion and sentence equivalence, I just did 10 of those each day. I did 10 text completion, and I did 10 sentence equivalence questions each day. And what I would do after that, because I thought this is really important, is I would create flashcards. And this, I think, really contributed to my ability to answer these questions, is I created 10 flashcards, and these were flashcards, very simple flashcards. So one on the left, one on the right. This is just the back, and then this is the front. And on the front, I would just have the word, right? So I'd have the word, and then on the back, I would have the definition. And this definition would be extremely short. So for instance, if the front of the word was, if the front of the flashcard was the word and it was like paraphrastic, I would just put on the back a close definition, like long-winded or something like that, or talks a lot, something extremely, extremely short, almost like a synonym or a very, very short sentence. And I would create about 10 of those every single day, 20 if I could. And as I was going through my text completion questions and my sentence equivalence questions, I would make more. So eventually, by the end of the day, I would have like a stack of just note cards with these words on it. And then what I would do is I would go to a Starbucks of some sort, and I would just grab myself. There would be like a table outside usually that I would go at, or it would be on the inside, and I would have 2 stacks. There would be the done pile, or there would be the redo pile. All right, so my done pile or my redo pile. And what I would do is I would take my stack of flashcards and I would look at the front and I would say, okay, this is, paraphrastic. What does it mean? Well, if I get it right, then it goes in the done pile. And if I get it wrong, it goes in the redo pile. And then as soon as I'm done going through all the flashcards I have, I pick up the redo pile and I redo it for that day until I have nothing in the redo pile and everything is in the done pile. And then I would go home and I would repeat everything I just told you for the next day. And what I would do, the only big difference is I would create a running stack of flashcards. So let's say at the very beginning on day 1, I created this many flashcards. On day 2, I created this many flashcards. I would add them into a total pile, and I would just keep doing that so that by day 5 or 6, I had a ton of flashcards. And I would take these to Starbucks, and I would sit at my table and I would have my whatever type of drink I'm having, and I would go through it every single day. And it got to the point by the end of 3 months where I was sitting on 1,000 to 2,000 flashcards. And that really helped a lot. It helped for multiple reasons. It helped because text completion and sense equivalence questions just got a lot easier because you knew what the words were. And also your reading comprehension got a lot easier because, again, a lot of those words are in your reading comprehension paragraphs. So that's how I attacked the verbal section. The quantitative section was a little bit different. The way I did that was I basically just got a book. I got a standard book for the quant section, which is like just a big book that has a lot of practice tests, including verbal and quantitative tests. And then I got a specific book for each of the math sections, or for the math section specifically. I can't remember. It was a little bit of a ways away ago. But what I would do is I would do 1 chapter per week. So I'd do 1 chapter per week, and I would do like 10 to 20 minutes each day where I would read each of these books, and I would try and do 10 questions every single day from the section that I'm on, the chapter that I was on, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's basically how I studied for the quantitative and the verbal section. And the way I tutor is a little bit different than the way I studied because I'm not studying then, I'm tutoring, which is a different position to be in. The way I like to tutor is I like to tell students to do 10 questions each day in the quant section, and this could be whatever area they feel that they need the most help in or they feel like they could grow the most in. It doesn't matter too much to me in that area, but what I want them to do is I want them to remember the ones that they can't do. So keep the ones that you can't do. Right, and then what you do is you take those and you bring them to me. So I get hopefully around 10 questions that you don't know how to do after you've done like a week of studying, and then I go through those questions with you, right? So that's how I would tutor the quantitative section, because I don't think I should be tutoring someone on the questions that they can do, right? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense. You're kind of wasting your money. But if there's a question you don't know how to do and I can explain it, that's helpful. For the verbal section, a little bit different. I ask students to do 10 of each of these every single day, so 10 of these and 10 of these, and then I ask students to do 1 reading comprehension question every single day. What I like to do with students is I actually like to do reading comprehension with them. Right, so that's my method for the reading comprehension, is I do a reading comprehension paragraph with you. We both try and answer the questions together, and when we get to the point where 3 or 4 paragraphs in a row you're answering the same number right that I am, then you don't need my help anymore. But if there's a discrepancy, if there's a difference, then I can still be useful. And I walk through the paragraph with you, we go through it together, and that's how we have improvement in the reading comprehension section. So that's how I tutor, that's how I studied, and hopefully someone finds this helpful.